Now you're in your 50s and you're going to the doctor saying, I can't run the way I used to. And the doctor says it's because of age. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not because of age. It's because of a lack of antioxidants and too much inflammation caused by all of the things that occur cumulatively in life to rob you of your vitality. Max GXL, by reducing the inflammation and improving the function of the cell, preserves and protects the cells of your body so that they can function maximally, and when you're 50, you may well be able to run the way you did when you were 20. The organism can be what it used to be.
Dr. Robert Keller, MD, was named one of the world's 2,000 outstanding scientists in the 21st century and served on the scientific review panel of the National Institutes of Health and the Veterans Administration. Dr. Keller was elected to the Board of Governors of the American Academy of HIV Medicine and served on the Scientific Advisory Board of several biotech companies. The Consumer Research Council named Dr. Keller one of America's top physicians in 2003, 2004, and 2005 in the fields of internal medicine, immunology, and hematology. Max International and its associates are extremely grateful to Dr. Keller for his pioneering glutathione research that led to the development of Max GXL.
Dr. Keller, thank you for being with us today. Tell me about your desire to practice medicine.
I went into medicine because I really thought it was the way to help people. I did my initial training in internal medicine, and then rather than take a rather lucrative job in internal medicine, I essentially apprenticed myself to a mountain of a person in immunology and spent the next 3 years basically doing nothing but being in the lab.
Dr. Keller, tell us about your practice, the kinds of patients that you see, the kinds of practice that you have.
We're privileged to treat a variety of patients, some of which have HIV, some of which have chronic fatigue immunodeficiency syndrome, some of which have fibromyalgia, a plethora of which have a variety of autoimmune diseases, some of which have been named and some of which haven't. We also treat patients who have already undergone therapy for cancer. We do not do cancer therapy here, although I am qualified in oncology, but we do kind of put back the system after the poisons have worked on the cancer so that the body can reconstitute itself and that they can again have some quality of life. We also deal with age management and how to get the body to function maximally using those three parts of the circle, the brain chemicals, the immune system, and the endocrine or hormone system, as a way of kind of recreating what you had when you were 20.
It seems to me the best place to start in order to understand this incredible product is how our cells function. Tell us about that.
On a cellular level, understand that a cell goes through metabolism. That is, it takes in glucose, and in the presence of oxygen, it utilizes that glucose to get its engines working. And you live on oxygen, and oxygen's a wonderful thing, but oxygen burns. And every time it burns, if you don't counter that burn with an antioxidant, you suffer the consequences. Consequences are cell damage, premature cell death, and dysfunction of whatever organ that is involved. Take an iron pipe that just came from the smelter. Perfectly normal, looks beautiful, just like we do when we're born. But over time, it starts rusting and then pitting and then decaying. Unfortunately, so do we. The process may take a lot longer than it would in an iron pipe, but the process is exactly the same. And the reason for it is exactly the same: oxygen. Now, if the rust is in your arteries, we call it atherosclerosis. If the rust is in your brain, we will eventually call it Alzheimer's disease. If the rust is in your liver, we'll ultimately call it cirrhosis. If the rust is in your kidney, we'll ultimately call it end-stage renal disease, and lo and behold, if it's in your pancreas, you'll wind up with diabetes. But the central process is rust. Rust on a pipe is equal to inflammation in the body.
You mentioned inflammation. Now, when I think of inflammation, I think of swelling like when I twist my ankle or a bruise or something like that. So how does Max GXL, how does that impact inflammation?
Inflammation is a process that goes on day to day in your body as an obligate result of not having enough antioxidants around. And as a result of that, having these free radicals that incite cells in the body to produce a substance called nuclear factor kappa beta, which starts the entire inflammatory cascade. Now, the question that would come up is, do you feel it? Nope.
You say, I don't feel it?
You have millions of cells inside of your blood vessels. If you create something there, there's going to be cellular inflammation at that level. And you know what that leads to?
Tell me.
That's the way cholesterol gloms on to the inside of your blood vessels.
Through inflammation.
That's right. The end result of that is called atherosclerosis. But atherosclerosis doesn't start because cholesterol just decided to light onto the blood vessel. It's being invited in by that inflammatory stimulus.
I have a funny feeling that this list of negative results of inflammation only starts with atherosclerosis. What are some of the other problems?
Name a disease of aging, whether it be osteoporosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stroke, heart attack, cirrhosis, end-stage renal disease, diabetes. Name an illness that's associated with aging, and you've named a disease that has as its beginning an inflammatory response that you didn't take care of.
Tell us about where your interest in glutathione came from.
My interest in glutathione came from problems that I saw in patients for which there were no solutions. And the major problem was literally a lack of antioxidants in a variety of patients, and that showed up as what is known as a low uric acid. I asked the question, if that's the last, what's the first? And the first turned out to be glutathione. And as I did more research, it became clear that glutathione is virtually a ubiquitous antioxidant. What do I mean by that? Some antioxidants take care of products of oxygen burning. Some of them take care of products of nitrogen burning. Some of them take care of products of hydroxyl burning. They're all different radicals. This takes care of everything. And so the question was how to create a product that would in fact deliver the substance to the body. And after, I believe it was 18 attempts, we came up with a product that in the laboratory and in the clinic improved glutathione levels significantly. In each cell of the body, glutathione allows production of ATP. ATP is the fuel for every cell. ATP is your fuel. If you don't have any gas, you won't work. The more gas you have, the more high octane it is, the better you'll work. Glutathione will give you the most highest octane fuel that each cell in your body can possibly have.
Is glutathione created and utilized by just certain cells in my body?
There is no cell in your body that doesn't use glutathione. I did a chapter for a cosmetic surgery book last year on antioxidants for the skin. Glutathione is the most important antioxidant in the skin. Glutathione protects you against sunburn. Glutathione protects you against wrinkling. Glutathione protects you against the inflammatory process, the end result of which is cancer.
Well, we're all concerned about that.
I didn't say it would treat it, but it will protect you. It will give your skin a much more youthful appearance. And as your skin goes, so does the rest of your body. So if you're noticing a change in your skin, understand well that that's also true of your brain, your heart, your blood vessels, your kidney, your liver, and your little toe. You have the ability to stop the rusting process wherever you are. So if you wait until the rust is already beginning to pit, I'm not telling you that the pitting will go away or that the rust will reverse. I am telling you you're not going to get any more.
I saw a graphic that indicated some lab results from 4 test groups that you did. Tell us about those test groups and what happened as they had the opportunity to take MaxGXL.
In the HIV patients, in the chronic fatigue patients, in the hepatitis patients, in the cancer patients, the glutathiones went up, their SF32s went up, they felt better, they did more, they participated more in life, and when they decided they'd had enough and became non-compliant, Every good thing that happened while they were taking it disappeared.
Now, Dr. Keller, I'm sort of at the tail end of the baby boomer generation. And as we baby boomers are getting older, we're looking in the mirror and we're saying, wait a minute, that's not what I looked like 20 years ago. So I know I need to do things. I need to take care of myself. So I'm taking supplements, I'm using lotions and potions. I'm trying to stop this aging process. How does Max GXL fit into that picture of this burgeoning age management model?
It's an indispensable part of it, because if you come to me for age management, I'm going to measure your hormones. I'm going to measure your cancer markers to make sure that they weren't there. Okay. I'm going to measure your immune system. I'm going to do all of those things, but most importantly, I have to give your body the things that it needs to prevent the rust. And that predominantly is Max GXL, for all the reasons that we've talked about. So I can do all the other things, but if I don't do that, if I don't put glutathione back in the mix, if I don't reduce inflammation, I haven't achieved anything, because I'm still allowing that rust to occur. And Max is a critically important, I would call it a central component in an age management schema. We are all subject to aging. And one of the key elements that we have the ability to control, we meaning each and every one of us, is the ability to stop this inevitable rusting that goes on in our body. And the way to do that, folks, is one and only Max GXL.
Dr. Keller, it has been a pleasure to be with you today. Thanks so much for spending time with us.
Our pleasure to be here.
If you'd like more information about this remarkable product, Max GXL, please speak to the person who gave you this audio program.